Hi, in this video we're going to write the Blackjack class. So by the end of this video we're going to have a fully working Blackjack game using the classes we've written so far. So we wrote card, we wrote deck, we wrote hand, and now we're going to write the class for the full game. So what needs to be in this class? Well, it needs to have a player and a dealer hand. We want to create a deck, shuffle the deck. We're going to need to deal the hand. We're going to need to give the player a turn. We're going to need to play the dealer's turn, only to show the results. So there's a lot more that you can do, and more than we'll be able to do in this one video, but in this video we'll have a working game by the end. So let's go explore this and write this program in our editor. Okay, so this might seem like a pretty intimidating program to start, and it kind of is. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of parts, there's a bunch of classes, and so we need to take the ideas that we've used so far and apply them here. We need to take this big problem and break it down into smaller problems. And we're going to start to do that by using pseudocode. And remember, pseudocode is basically writing out what we're trying to do in English instead of in code first, so we can think through the problem. So we're going to write out sort of our step-by-step process for writing this Blackjack game. So I'll make it a comment. Okay, so what are we going to do? So first, we need to make a deck. So that's what we're going to do. We need to make a deck so we can use it. Then we'll make a hand for the player. And then we'll make a hand for the dealer. So far, so good. These all seem like things we can do. We don't want to forget to shuffle the deck. And so also the nice thing about writing pseudocode is it lets us think through the problem and the different ways we're going to tackle it before we dive into the details of the code. Okay, so we're going to make a hand for the player and make a hand for the dealer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play player's turn. And then we're going to play the dealer's turn. And then we'll find the winner. So that at a high level is what we want to do to play Blackjack. There's a lot more, but using top-down design, if we had methods to do all these things, we'd be done. So let's go and start tackling these one at a time and go make methods along the way to make this code easy to understand and very readable. So our first step is let's make a deck. So luckily we have our deck class. We say deck equals new deck. Okay, but we want to shuffle the deck. So we'll say deck.shuffle. And you know, we've been writing a lot of classes. If you don't remember what the methods are in our classes, we can always go look at them. You know, we have pretty clear comments now that show exactly how we can use them. So you know, we can make a deck and we can shuffle the deck. So let's go back to Blackjack. Okay, so we made our deck, we've shuffled our deck. Now let's make a hand for the player. So we'll say hand player equals new hand. So that's going to represent the cards that the player has. And we'll say hand dealer equals new hand. And those are the cards for the dealer. So far so good. Let's see how we're doing. Let's print out the player's hand. So say system.out.println player. And we'll print out the dealer's hand. System.out.println dealer. And as you go and as the programs get bigger, a big important tip is test your programs all the time. Make small changes and then test the program. So let's go test this. Okay, so we made the hand, we printed it out, there's nothing in it. We've got to actually add the cards to the hand. So how do we do that? Well, we have some handy methods. We're gonna say player.add card, and then how do we get a card out of the deck? Let's go look. Okay, deck, get cards, aha, deal. Deal deals the first card from the deck. So let's go back and we'll say, we'll add card deck.deal. That's actually the card we're going to add. Then we'll alternate. We'll give the next one to the dealer. So we'll say dealer.add card deck.deal. Then we'll say player.addCard, deck.deal, and dealer.addCard, deck.deal. So each player gets 2 cards to start off. Okay, so you can see the player's hand, you can see the dealer's hand. So far, so good. So there's a little bit of a trick here, which is that right now we're showing the player's hand totally, and we're showing the full dealer's hand. As we go on, we're not actually going to want to show the full dealer's hand. We actually want to hide that first card. So, so what are we going to do here? Well, we want a different way to print out that hand. So I think what we're going to do is we'll go back to hand, and we'll make a method that will print out basically a dealer hand. And what we do when we print out a dealer hand to make it the most useful for us is we'll just hide the first card. So we'll say print out a dealer hand and show an X instead of the first card. Say public void print dealer hand, and then it'll be pretty similar to our toString. So let's start with that. Actually, there's a little bit of a trick here, which is instead of using our for each loop, we really want a counter so we can know which is the first. So we'll say for int I equals 0, I is less than cards.size I plus plus. So we're looping over all the cards, and we'll get the current card. Card C equals cards.get of I. Okay, and so if it's the first card, we're going to print an X. So if I is equal to 0, we'll say system.out.print. What we'll print out is an X. So we're going to use print, not print line. And otherwise, we'll just print out the card. System.out.print, and we'll print the card plus some spacing. And then we'll do system.out.println at the end. So now if I go back to Blackjack, I could print out the dealer's full hand, and we'll still be using that later. But what I'll say is I'll say dealer dot print dealer hand. So this method lets us get a different representation. So you can see it's an X. So we can't actually see what the dealer has, and that's something we're going to need for later. But you can see we have a deck. The hands are getting dealt. The hands are getting shuffled. So we're good to go so far. So when you delete these so far. Okay, so now we get to do some of the bigger methods. So the first thing we want to do is we want to play the player's turn. We want to play the player's turn. So what happens on a player's turn? This is basically where we're using more top-down design. Player's turn actually has within that method some complexity, and so we can go and think about how that is going to work. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to start with a method called PlayerTurn, and I'll pass in the player hand, and I'll pass in the deck. And so sometimes you might change things as you go, but we're going to start with a PlayerTurn method. We'll give it the hand, we'll give it the deck, and we'll think about what we need to do from there. So I'll go private void PlayerTurn, and we have a hand for the player and the deck. Okay, so what do we want to do? Let's think about that. So first, we want to get the move, which is hit or stand. Hit means add another card. Stand means no more cards. So we'll get the move. Then we'll say, what do we say? If the player hits, well, then what will we do? We'll add a card, and we'll print out the hand. And then somewhere in here, we need to figure out if we busted. So this is sort of a high level what we're going to do to play the player's turn. So get the move, hit or stand. So that could be a little complicated in itself. So we'll take that and we'll actually break that down into a method. So we'll start off and we'll say string move equals get player move. Let's go write that. So we'll say private string get player move. And so what are we going to do in this method? We're going to ask the user to pick hit or stand. So we'll say string move equals read line, and we'll say enter the move. Let's give us some more space. Enter the move, which will be hit or stand. And what we want to do is we want to make sure they type hit or stand, but we want to make our program a little bit flexible. So what we'll do is we'll always convert to lowercase. So we'll say move equals move.to lowercase. And what's important here is remember, strings are immutable. This returns a new string, so we have to assign it over to move. Then we'll test. We'll say if move dot equals hit or move dot equals stand, then we'll return move. If that didn't happen, then we'll have to ask them to try again. So system.out.println, please try again. And so this will only happen once, but we don't want it to happen once. We want it to keep happening forever until they pick the right move. So we'll put this in a loop. We'll put this in a while true loop. So this is going to say keep asking the user for a valid move until we get hit or stand. So I'll cut, paste, and I'll highlight and tab that in. So it's all our indenting is right. So what this will do is ask the player for a move and then return their move. So we'll go down here and we'll print out the move was plus move. So let's go test that. Okay, enter the move, hit or stand. Well, let's tell something that's not valid. Please try again, hit. Okay, we got that. Let's try stand. Okay, there you go. So that seems to be working. We got the move. And now if the player hit, so how do we test that? How do we test that? So if move dot equals hit, then what we want to do is we want to add a card. So how do we add a card? We say player dot add card deck dot deal. So get the next card and add that. And then we want to print out the hand. So we'll say system.out.println player's hand, and then we'll print out player. So let's test that. So I have 8 and a 2. I'm going to decide to hit. And now I got a 6, and we have a total of 16. So that's pretty good so far. So maybe we'll make this a little clearer. And what we'll do is, let's see, maybe let's save this card. So I'll save this into a variable. So we'll say card C equals deck.deal. We'll add that card to the hand. Before that, let's print out you got a plus C. Let's see how that works. Oh, forgot a semicolon. Or maybe let's make this clear. Your card was, try that again. Oh, plus. Okay, so we have a 20. We're gonna hit, and it says your card was the 8 of diamonds, and this is our new card, 28. Okay, so this is our method for the player turn, and it's pretty good so far, but what we really wanted to know at the end is we need to figure out if we busted, and whether or not we busted is a true or false value. It's really a Boolean. And so a better way to structure this might be is to, instead of just returning void, make this a Boolean. And the result of doing a player turn is either a true or false value indicating whether or not the player busted. So let's maybe add that as a comment. So we'll say play a player turn by asking the player to hit or stand. And then we'll return whether or not the player busted. Okay, so we changed that to a Boolean. Now down here, we should go and say Boolean player busted equals player turn. So let's go and test this out. So let's say the player hit, then we got a card. What we want to do here is we want to say if the player busted, we'll return true. And otherwise, down here, we'll return false. Okay, so and the thing about this program is there's a lot of ways to do it. We can check whether we busted down here, but you know, there's a lot of ways we can think about breaking this down. So one thing is that this actually only lets the player hit or stand once, but that's not how the game works. So let's run our code and look again. Oops. Missing return statement. Let's see. Okay, as soon as we get to the bottom, we'll return false. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so we'll hit. Okay, so what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to run this multiple times. And so instead of this just being once, we're going to repeat it. We're going to repeat it in a loop. So we're going to keep repeating this in a loop. So what we'll do is we'll say while true, and then we're going to put this all in a loop. Okay. So now let's look at our logic. So we're going to say keep repeating, get the player move. Then we don't need to print this out anymore. If it was a hit, then deal a card, print out the hand. If we busted, return true. And if it wasn't a hit, we'll return false. And so that makes a little bit more sense now, because what we're saying is if we didn't hit, the player chose to stand, which means the turn is over. So let's try running that. Okay, so we have 15, we'll hit. Okay, that's our hand again. And we busted, so we're done. Let's try again, we'll hit. Okay, and we ask us to enter move again. Great, and we hit again. And we still haven't busted, but we stand, and there you go. That's the end of our turn. So right now, we can play a turn for the player. So that's pretty great. So let's go back down. And at this point, if the player busted, let's leave a note. So we'll say if player busted, let's print out you busted, and we'll give them a sad face. Okay, great. So we've played the player's turn. Now we need to play the dealer's turn. So we'll call a method DealerTurn. We'll give the dealer hand, and we'll give the deck. Okay. So here again, let's write out our methods. We'll say private void DealerTurn hand dealer deck. And you might notice that everything here is getting passed around as parameters. And what's nice about that is it just keeps our program really organized. It's good to be able to minimize the instance variables, and this actually just allows our program to be pretty clean. So we're going to keep writing it with parameters. Okay, so in DealerTurn, what do we need to do? So let's go and think through that pseudocode before we go and write it. So what we need to do first is we want to print out the dealer's hand. So that's the first step. And now the way that dealers work in Blackjack is they have rules about how they have to play. So the rule is if the dealer's hand value is less than 17, they'll hit. That's what it is. That's all we gotta do. And it's not actually just if, it's while. So what's happening here is if the dealer has a low one and they hit and they're still less than 17, they have to hit again. But if they busted, they're done. So this is a small outline for how they're gonna do it. So what we need to do is, since they need to keep doing it forever until a condition is done, we're going to use our while true loop. And remember, whenever you do while true, you need a way to get out of the method. So you need to either return or break. So the first thing what we're going to do is we will print out the dealer's hand. So we'll say system.out.println dealer's hand, and then we'll print out dealer. So here we'll show the full hand because the player's already gone. The player's already gone. So then we'll get the value. So we'll say int value equals dealer.getValue. That's the value of the hand. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so what's next? We'll say, I just want to give the user some indication of what's going on. Dealer's hand has value plus value. And then now, since we're just entering text and there's going to be a lot printed out at a time, we're going to sort of slow things down by asking the user to hit enter to continue. And so the way we'll do that is we'll use readLine. We'll say readLine enter to continue. So we don't actually need to do anything with the string that's returned because we're just waiting to hit enter. So once they hit enter, what's next? Well, if the dealer's hand is less than 17, we hit. So we say if value is less than 17, we'll announce what the dealer's going to do. So say dealer hits, and then we'll say dealer dot. Actually, let's again save the card. So we'll say card C equals deck dot deal. Then we'll print out what they got. So we'll say dealer. Let's see, what do we say for the player version? Dealer card was plus C. And then what we'll do is we need to figure out here if the dealer busted. So we'll say if the dealer busted, let's announce that. Dealer busted. Okay, and we'll break. And if the value was not less than 17, otherwise, what the dealer has to do is stand. So we'll say dealer stands. Okay, and we'll break out of our loop. So let's try this. Let's see where we're at and test this out. Okay, so we have 19, the dealer shows a 9. What's our move? Hit or stand? We will stand. Okay, so that's our move. The dealer shows the full hand. It's a 5 and a 9. The dealer has 14. Let's hit enter, continue. And the dealer hits. The dealer card was the 3 of clubs. And oops, we seem to forgot something. What did we forget? We dealt the card, but we forgot to add it to the hand. So we'll say dealer.add card C. Let's try again. Okay, so we have a 9. Let's hit. We have a 15. Let's hit again. And let's see. We got a 7 and then we busted. Okay. The dealer's hand is a 13 and enter to continue. And the dealer busted. Okay, so that's the end of our program, but let's make a slight improvement. So it seems that after our move, we want to pause before the dealer goes. So I'll put a read line. So we'll say hit enter for dealer turn. Great, let's test that again. Okay, so that's our hand. Oops, put that in the wrong spot. We want this down here. Great, try again. Okay, so we have 16, the dealer shows a queen, and we'll choose to hit. We got a 2, let's stand. And now it's about to be the dealer's turn, we'll hit enter. The dealer shows 19, and the dealer stands. Okay, so now we're farther along, we can play our turn, and we can play the dealer turn. So let's go down and see what's next. So the next part is we want to find the winner. Okay, so how are we going to do this? How are we going to find the winner? So first, you should think about this. How do you think we find the winner? What does it mean to win? That means you have a bigger value, but there's also the issue of someone may have busted, and if they busted, you know, then you lose. So the first thing is we want to sort of think about breaking this down and using methods. We want to break this down and use methods. So at a high level, let's use methods to make this happen. So what we're going to do is we'll say find winner. And what we'll do to find the winner is we'll pass in the dealer, dealer, the player, and that should be all we need. Great. Private void find winner, and we'll go hand dealer, hand player. Okay, so how do we find the winner? Let's think through this. Let's think through our options. So let's see if the player wins. We'll check if player wins, and then we'll check if there was a push, which means it was a tie, and then otherwise the dealer wins. Okay, so check if player wins. That's complicated enough, so let's put it in a method. So we'll say if player wins, and we'll give the player and the dealer, then we'll print out system out the print line. Player wins. Okay, so let's go write that. So that's private Boolean. We're returning a true false value. Player wins, and we'll pass in the player and the dealer. Okay. So how do we know if the player wins? Well, first, if the player busted, the player lost. So that would be false. So if the player busted, the player lost. If the dealer busted, then the player wins. Return true. And then otherwise, what we want to know is the player's hand, player.getValue, greater than the dealer.getValue. Right, so this doesn't cover the case where they're the same or where it's less, but this covers the case where the player wins. So we're returning whether or not the player wins. The player wins definitively if they didn't bust and the dealer busted, or they just beat the dealer in points. So that's our first case, if the player wins. The next one we want to check out is if there's a push. So this is an else if, only one of these conditions should happen. So else if there is a push between the player and the dealer, Then we'll print out that the you push was a tie. So let's test that one out. So that's private Boolean push hand player hand dealer. Okay, so what does it mean if there's a push? A push is if the player's hand is the same as the dealer's hand. Okay, so that's push. They push if the values are the same. And then what's our last condition? What's our last condition? Our last condition is that the dealer wins. So we'll say this on a print line, dealer wins. Okay, so let's try and play, see if this works. Okay, we got a 17, the dealer shows a 9. What are we gonna do here? What do you guys think? Let's hit. So we're gonna hit. We got a 5, we busted. Let's hit the dealer's turn. Dealer has a 19, dealer stands, and the dealer wins. Okay, so far our logic was good. Let's test again. We hit a 20, dealer shows a 9, we'll stand. Dealer's turn. Okay, so dealer has 11, and dealer hits. Dealer's card was 3 of hearts, and that's the dealer's hand. So dealer's hand value 14. Let's continue. And then the dealer hits. The dealer's card was the 6 of diamonds. Dealer now has a 20. And the dealer stands, and we push. We push. So, so far, so good. Let's see if we can win. Let's hit. What we're gonna do, we'll hit again. 19's pretty good, we'll stand. The dealer plays, and we push again. Okay, well, the dealer's tough. So but what we want to do now is we want to add another element to our game. This will probably be the last element, or maybe it won't be, but to start off, what we want to do is we want to have the idea of betting, and we want to add the idea of a bankroll. So what we'll do is we'll start off, and I'll say int bankroll equals, and we'll make a constant for that. So we'll say private static final int starting bankroll equals 100. Okay, so bankroll equals 100. And now what we want to do is we want to basically ask the user for a bet. Ask the user for a bet. So we'll say sys.println starting bankroll plus bankroll. And then we will say int bet equals readint. What is your bet? Great. And now what's going to happen is based on who wins, the player gets that amount of basically points or dollars or whatever it is back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is figure out how to adjust the bankroll based on who wins. And so what we'll do here is in find winner, we'll return an int. And that int will be how much was won or lost. So we'll say find the winner between the player hand and dealer hand. Return how much was won or lost. Okay, so what we'll also need to do here is we'll need to pass along the bet into that method. So I'll try this out. Okay, so if the player wins, if the player wins, how much was won is bet. That's the change. If there's a push, it's a tie, so 0. And if it's a loss, it's negative bet. It's negative bet. And so, so we'll say bankroll change is the result there. And then we'll say bankroll plus equals bankroll change. So there's a couple ways to do it. This is one way. Another way would be that that you actually adjust the bankroll completely. But this is what we'll start off for now. And then what we'll do is we'll print out the bankroll. Okay, so let's play Blackjack. Okay, what are we gonna bet? We'll bet 30 to start. Okay, so we have 19, the dealer shows a 7. What we're gonna do, we'll stand. Okay, let's have the dealer's turn. Okay, the dealer has 17, let's continue. Dealer stands, player wins. New bankroll, 130, how about that? So far our logic is good. Let's play again. Our bet will be 10. And, oh, we got a 21. We probably want to indicate blackjack in a better way. What we'll say is stand. We'll have the dealer's turn, and the player wins again. So that's great. So if you actually get a blackjack, that means that when you win, you get 1.5 times the bet. So we're going to make one small change here in player wins, and we'll say if player dot has blackjack, return 1.5. Oops, we have an error. Can you find out what the error will be? 1.5 times bet. So we have a decimal here. We have an int here. We're returning int. That needs to be a double. That needs to be a double. And what we'll do is we'll change our bankroll, everything that deals with bankroll, to a double. So actually, maybe we'll still let them just bet an int. But the double is a bankroll, and there you go. So we'll return 1.5 times bet. Times bet. Okay, let's play again. Okay, let's bet 20. And let's stand. And the dealer has 20. And we push. New bankroll is 100. So our logic's still good. The one thing that seems to be missing is we should be able to play again. We want to be able to play again. And so to play again, what we want to do is we want to put everything into a while loop. That's what we want to do. And so what we should do is we really need to refactor. We need to adjust our methods to make this a little bit easier. And so what we've really written in our run method lets us play one round. So what we'll do is we'll say private void play round. And I'm going to take this and put it into play around. Okay, so that's what it now means to play around. And so what we want to do in run then is we want to basically add the loop to let us play multiple rounds. So we might need to shuffle a few things around. So we'll move down our bankroll over here. Okay, so we print out the starting bankroll. We ask, what is your bet? And then what we want to do is, oh, actually, what is your bet is part of the round. Okay, so what we want to do here is basically we want to let them keep playing. So we'll say, while true, what we'll do is we'll say that we'll have them play around. And that's where we'll start. So play around seems to be missing some data. We actually need to pass the bankroll into play around. So we'll pass in the bankroll. Then play around gets a double. of bankroll. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around, and then what we'll do at the end of the round is we'll return the current bankroll. So we play around, and then the bankroll changes. We print out the new bankroll, and let's return that bankroll back to the caller. This is the caller. This is the method that called play around. So we'll say bankroll equals play around with the current bankroll, and then we'll ask them if they want to play again. So we'll say string play again equals read line, would you like to play again? We'll ask for a yes or a no, and we'll say that if play again dot, now we'll use equals ignore case, so it can be capital or lowercase. If it's equal to an n, then we break. And we'll say system.out.println, thanks for playing. Okay, so we moved things around. We made our run method simpler and call play around. So let's go and see if this works. We have some errors. 209. What did we forget? Messed up our quotes. Okay, let's try again. Okay, what is our bet? Let's 20. 13, what we're gonna do, let's hit. Okay, now we have 17, let's stand. Okay, the dealer has 6, 16, and the dealer busted, the player wins, our new bankroll is 120. Let's play again. And what is our bet? Okay, let's bet, big bet, we'll bet 60. We have 17. So what do we want to do? Let's hit. We busted. The dealer plays, and the dealer won that one. So our new bankroll is 60. We'll bet it all in this last round. We'll bet 60. We show a 6, so let's hit. Let's hit again. 18, let's stand. Okay, the dealer has a 10, and the dealer has a 21. We lost. We won't play again. But it was good. We learned a lot. We wrote a great game. We used multiple classes. There's lots of improvements here. Probably as you saw me playing, you could think of improvements. You know, right now I could bet a negative amount. I could go negative on my bankroll. There's more features of Blackjack. You can split. There's something called insurance. There's so much to do. But what we've done is we've shown that by using classes, by breaking down this problem from a complicated big problem to smaller and smaller problems, by using methods, by writing pseudocode, we're actually able to write an awesome Blackjack game. So so now you'll have this game, you can play around with it, and then you'll have a chance to make it a little bit better before you go and get to write your full sort of big project with multiple classes.